If you've been scrolling through endless listings of electric fireplaces, weighing the size, the look, the heating capacity, and still feeling like you're just swapping one guess for another, you're not alone. It's easy to picture a cozy room with the perfect mantel, only to end up with something that either looks out of place or doesn't actually keep you warm enough on those chilly evenings. This review is here to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I'm going to walk through the real-world experience of the Real Flame Malie 68-inch landscape electric fireplace with mantel, talk about who will actually get value out of it, and point out the hidden trade-offs that most product blurbs skip. First off, let's talk about the space requirements. The Malie is a 68-inch unit, so it needs a wall or a freestanding location that can accommodate a wide, low-profile mantel. If your living room has a modest TV wall, or you're looking to replace an old wood-burning insert in a fireplace niche, the footprint is ideal. It sits low enough that you can still see a TV above it, but tall enough to give a realistic flame height that doesn't look like a toy. For smaller apartments or studios, however, the width might feel overwhelming, especially if you're planning to put it against a narrow hallway or a bedroom where the mantel would dominate the wall. In those cases, a smaller, tabletop or wall-mountable model would be a better match. Now, about the heat. The Malie isn't just a decorative piece, it's a heater that actually draws power from a standard 120-volt outlet. In practice, the heat output feels comparable to a space heater you'd use on a single room, but the difference is how that warmth is distributed. Because the heat source is built into the back of the unit, the warm air rises naturally, creating a more even temperature around the fireplace area without the obvious blast you get from a classic convection heater. I tested it in a 12 by 15-foot living room during a 30-degree night, and after about 15 minutes the temperature rose a solid 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It's enough to take the edge off the cold, but don't expect it to replace your central heating system. If your primary goal is to keep an entire house warm, you'll need something more powerful. But for zone heating like warming a bedroom, while you're watching a movie, this unit hits the sweet spot. A point that many first-time buyers overlook is the safety feature set. The Malie includes an automatic shut-off timer, which you can set for anywhere between 1 and 8 hours. Couple that with an integrated overheat sensor, and the unit will power down if it ever reaches unsafe temperatures. For families with kids or pets, that peace of mind is significant. The remote control also means you can turn the fireplace on or off from the couch, avoiding the temptation to leave it on longer than necessary, something that can become a safety concern with traditional wood-burning fireplaces that stay lit for hours. The visual realism of the flame and log effect is where the Malie really tries to differentiate itself. The display uses a combination of LED lights and a translucent log that mimics the movement of real fire. In a darkened room, the flames look surprisingly authentic. You'll see a gentle flicker, occasional bursts of brighter light, and a natural gradient that mimics wood embers. In a bright living area with sunlight streaming through windows, the effect is a little less dramatic, but still far better than a static hologram. If you enjoy the ambience of a fireplace without the mess of ashes and firewood, and you appreciate a convincing flame, this part of the design delivers. One practical weakness that shows up after a few weeks of use is the placement of the controls on the unit itself. The front panel houses a few buttons for adjusting flame intensity and heat level, but they are positioned low enough that you need to kneel or crouch to reach them. The remote handles that, but if the batteries die, you're forced to manually press those small buttons, which can be awkward when you're already in your pajamas. It's a minor inconvenience, but worth mentioning because the ergonomic design of the control panel isn't as refined as you might hope. Another nuance is the noise level. Because the heater uses a fan to circulate warm air, you'll hear a soft whirring sound when it's active. In my experience, the noise is about as loud as a low-speed ceiling fan, barely noticeable when you're in the middle of a conversation or watching TV, but it can become a faint background hum if you're trying to meditate or fall asleep. For most households, that won't be a deal breaker, but those who are hypersensitive to ambient noise might prefer a unit that uses radiant heating without a fan. The mantel itself is a simple wood grain panel that slides into place. It's easy enough to install with just a screwdriver and a few brackets, and you don't need a professional unless